All right. What's going on, guys? Quick video. I know a lot of you guys have been asking for this, and it would help a lot of people just getting into development. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a really quick video on how to do wires for ZMod and in Blender. Um, so if you have any basic knowledge of Blender, then it'll be good for this video. If not, then I'd suggest going through Blender, learning it a little bit more. But I'm just going to be showing the basics of how to do wires. So first, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to get your car. So I'm just using a charger for the sake of this video. And I'm not gonna make any crazy wires or anything. I'm just gonna do one simple one just to show you guys the process of doing it. So first, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to get your car, and then you're just gonna throw your console in here. So here I'm using a Havas console. You can use any type of console, same concept. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to place your radio wherever you want. So anywhere on the console, doesn't matter. And then you also want to place your mic wherever you're going to put that as well. Because basically what we're doing is we're only putting the two endpoints, and then we're just going to create the wire that goes from the radio to the mic. So you don't want to have any other type of wire in here, just the two components. Now, once you have this done, you're just going to want to rename this to whatever. Then you're going to go up to export. Then, let's say just desktop. Alright, sorry about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to export this to anywhere. It doesn't really matter. You're going to want to export it as a OBJ, so wavefront, and then just name it to whatever. So I'm just going to name it wire, and then we're going to export. Now, you can save this as, doesn't really matter, or you can just leave it open. I'd suggest leaving it open, as we're going to come back to that in just a short amount of time. So, this is your OBJ right here. Now, the next step, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up Blender. Just wait for it to load up. You can just delete this collection. You don't really need this. Now, what you're going to do is, it's simple. All you have to do is just import the model that you want it to do. So now there are two ways to import. So we're going to go back to ZMod. I'll show you those two ways real quick. So now you can either import the whole entire car. So you could just do the whole chassis, everything, doors, all that, if you wanted to. I would suggest just dragging all of your main components out that you're going to use, so only the console. And then I would delete everything except your chassis. Now, deleting everything except your chassis just allows you to navigate better in Blender and allows you to view it clearly, more clear. So that's what I would recommend doing. I'm sorry I didn't show you that before, but I'm doing it now. So now that we only have our chassis and our console, we're just going to re-export it. So you can just override that. Now, if you're going to do it this way, then I would definitely recommend saving. And then you can just revert back to that old save once you actually make the wire. So now we're going to exit out of ZMod. We're going to go into Blender. Then we're going to go to File. Then Import. And then you're going to import the OBJ. You're going to go to wherever you saved it. And then just double click it. And then it's going to show up in here, your console, along with your whole entire project right here pretty much. Now, it's really annoying if you've never done it before, but right now I'm holding shift and my middle mouse button, which allows me to free roam. And then if you let go of shift and you hold your middle mouse button, it allows you to orbit around your point. You're gonna want to utilize those different features, and then zooming out obviously is with your middle mouse button. Now, as I mentioned before, we're just going to create the wire between the two components. So to do that, what you're going to need to do, I would just disable that for right now. You're going to hit Shift A. Now, Shift A will bring up all these different types of options that you can add. You're going to go to Curve, and then you're going to want to add a NURB circle. Okay, so you just add the NURB circle, whatever that means. And then you're going to hit Shift A again. And then you're going to go to curve. And then you're going to do a Bezier curve. So now you want to have the Bezier curve and the nub circle. And it should look like this. If you aren't to this point, then I suggest just rewinding and then looking at what I did before. So now what you want to do is you want to click on this. You want to click on the Bezier curve, so it's orange. And then you want to go to this little green line. So now this is like the geometry. Now you're going to want to click down on geometry. And now you're going to go under bevel, right? And then you're going to go to object. Now, once object is highlighted in blue, it's going to ask what object you want to select it as. So then you just click this, and then you just hit NURB circle. Now, this is going to be our wire. Now, you may be asking, wow, that is incredibly big. How is that even any type of resemblance of a wire? Well, I'll show you. So now what you're going to want to do is we want to scale the wire down so it actually looks like a wire. Now, the way to do that is you just click on the NURB circle so that it's orange. So instead of the Bezier curve, we're going to click on the NURB circle. Now, the way to scale is you hit S, and then this dotted line and the arrows will show up. And now this is how we are going to scale our wire. Now, remember, you don't scale from the actual Bezier curve because then it'll mess it up. You scale from the circle. I know that's a bit confusing, but since the circle is the Bezier curve's object, it will do it this way. So now you're just going to want to scale and then just drag your mouse down. See how that looks like a line now? And then you're going to want to click, left click, and then just keep going down until you get it at that desired width. So now that looks like more of like a wire. So our next step, you're just going to want to toggle your car back. Now you can see how this looks like, we can definitely work with this now. So now all we have to do is we just have to pretty much form the wire now. Now the way to do that is you just click on your wire or your Bezier curve. Then you hit tab. Now tab will open up editing mode. So now we can edit each vertex of this Bezier curve. Now you just want to left click hold, drag over one end, and then go up here and go to the move tool. And now it will allow you to click on different nodes and then move the wire around. So now what you want to do is you just want to get comfortable with the camera, and then you just want to fool around with this and pretty much just line it up. Make your wire. Now this is pretty self-explanatory here. Now, this is just all up to personal preference. So you can make the wire however long you want. You make it however you want in terms of shape. Excuse me, I just had dinner and I'm literally burping. So yeah, now we're just gonna make our wire here. So now it's pretty annoying. You kind of have to get used to it. But we'll figure it out here. So usually I start with this side, and then I line it up with the actual radio before I do the mic here. So if we, like I said, you just got to play around with it. It can get really annoying. Now, the way I'm like moving around with this and moving it around in different angles is you hit R. Now, if you hit R on the keyboard, you can actually rotate whatever vertex you have selected. So I'm just basically rotating, and then it depends on where your camera is, the way it rotates. So now I'll move over here, it's going to rotate it this way. Now if I move over here, shift middle mouse clicking just to get back to my center point here, then it'll move either which way. Now the camera is really annoying, honestly, to get used to. But it does get easier over time once you start doing it more. And one thing I would suggest is just getting models into Blender and practice making your wires, make them perfect. Um, that way you know what you're doing before you start. If you're planning on selling, that's what I would do. But now, as you can see, we're just really perfecting this wire here, making sure it's completely how it should be, nice and even. Now it's really tedious just because you're pretty much just you're modeling right now, so it's going to be a little tedious process. And one thing I would suggest is going over to the object right under the object window here and just filling your caps. That'll make it look a little bit better, I guess. Another thing that'll be really useful is scaling down the vertexes of your wire. So now if this is too long, which yeah, it is too long, what you can do is you just highlight one end, you click S on the keyboard, and then you just scale down even more. You scale down again. Now this is just how you scale. Really useful. I would definitely suggest scaling because it'll make it look a lot better in my experience. So since we just scaled that, we just got to reline it up. But we'll do that. And there are other videos on like how to use Blender's tools and all that stuff. I'm not going to go over the in-depth features of Blender and how to use all the moving tools and the scaling stuff, all that. I'm just here to show you how to form it and then what to do in ZMod with it. Okay, so here we go. So we have this part of our wire all nice and filled out. So now what we will do is we're going to, give me a second, I'm just kind of making this look a little bit more decent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit E. So basically what E does is it protrudes another wire from whatever vertex you have selected. So this is too short. And if I wanted to make this look good, I can't only use one segment of the Bezier curve. So what I need to do is you highlight one vertex and you hit E. Now this will extend your wire, which is what we need so that it actually fills it fills its purpose here. And then you're just gonna have to do a little bit more. You just gotta fiddle around with it because you can't have it so that it's too small, because remember, you have to UV map this, and if you, let's say, make one segment of the Bezier curve longer than the other, then the UV map would look weird. So this is just how we're going to have it for right now. That's completely fine. And we're just going to extrude this, and then we're just going to throw it up here. And remember, I hit E to do that. Hit E to extrude. And honestly, it just comes down to learning how to use and navigate in Blender. And then eventually, you'll become a master at it. So yeah, we're just gonna go here, boom. And like I said, I'm not really like doing this to perfect it. I'm just doing it just to show you guys so you get that idea. And you can start getting in here and you can start practicing. And I'll leave the link down in the description to Blender. It's a free software, so you can just get it. And you could start whenever you really wanted to. And then I'll leave the link for the ZMod website too. You'll need. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple wire. It just goes, like I said, you want to just connect the radio to the mic here. And you just want to make sure you don't clip it through any of the other, like, you don't want to clip it through the seat. You don't want to clip it through the actual console, which is what's going on here. So you could just fix that a little bit, make it look good. But like I said, I'm not going to go into detail and I'm not going to perfect it this video. Just because I'm only showing you guys the basics, which I hope will help you. So now you're just going to hit tab. You're going to get out of your editing mode. Now what you're going to do is, because we don't want the wire to be insanely high on poly count, which will in return increase the size of the vehicle and just the demand from 5M. So what you're going to do is you're just going to click it so that it's orange, and then you're going to go up to resolution preview in 3D, and then you're just going to put that to either 6. Sorry about that. I just accidentally was clicking my keybinds because I stream as well. So whatever I clicked, activated some of those. Sorry about that. As I was saying, you don't want this wire to be too high of poly. So that's what the resolution preview does. Now, nobody is going to be paying much attention to the console where you're going to need to have it look like, let's say you put it to like 50 and the wire was just insanely smooth and curvy. If you wanted to, you can do this, but I wouldn't recommend it at all. So I would just keep it around like the 8 to the 10 range. So maybe 9. But yeah, that's pretty much the concept of that with the resolution preview. So I just keep that at maybe like 8 to 12. All right. So now that we have the wire actually made and we have it connecting our two components, what we're going to do is now we are going to export the wire and we're going to import it back into ZMod. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to zoom out here and you're going to delete your model. Now, don't worry, it's not going to do anything to mess it up. We just need the wire that we just made. We only use the car as a reference. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go up to our whatever your car is named. We're going to right click and then we're just going to delete it to leave only the wire that we made. Okay? So now what we're going to do in Blender is we're going to go up to File, Export, and then we're going to export it as an OBJ. Now, you can just leave it untitled.obj, doesn't matter. I'm just going to name it wire2. Then we're going to export. Now, Blender doesn't take that long to export, so that's good. So now this is our completed wire. Okay, so this is what we're going to need. So now we're going to open up ZMod again. And now at this point, you would go to File, Open, and then you would open your saved charger. But I didn't save it. But I recommend you save it if you're going to do that method. Just because I'm just showing you guys how to do it. So I'm not really going in depth with it, like I said. But yeah, so now you have your car. Because you just opened your save point from before you deleted everything. So now you actually have your whole car. You're going to go up to Import. And then you're going to import whatever you named that wire as. So I'm just going to import wire 2 and boom. There's the wire. Okay. Now it's going to be named default. So now this is something that you really have to pay attention to. Because this is when the material assigning comes into play and then the UV mapping, which is extremely important. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our material browser and we're going to get whatever this whatever the wire is. So it's going to be none. You can click it just to make sure that it's that actual material. Then we're going to go up to this little gear, GTA 5. Then we're going to go to weapon vehicle underscore generic and we're going to assign it the vehicle underscore mesh. So now once you assign it to vehicle underscore mesh, it's going to have a bump, it's going to have detail, and then it's going to have the spec map and the EMV map. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make the detail, depending on what you're using. For my wires, I use the Motorola diffuse that comes with, I believe it's Dan's radio. I'm not completely sure, but this is what I use. I can leave the link in the description for this as well. But you're going to make it the detail, the diffuse, then you're going to do bump map, which you can get from, I believe you can get it from that radio as well. But I have my own. So this is for my coils because I have two different ones for rigid wires and then I have coil wires. So I'm going to use coil and then cable underscore N, which is my bump map for it. And then we're going to leave mask the same. And then spec map, we're just going to make it the spec of the radio that we used. Domain textures and then spec map. So that's what it should look like. Now, I know I went through that pretty quick because I'm just trying to get this video done and I'm just trying to make it as short as I can. So if you need to rewind, then definitely feel free to do that. But now is when we have to UV map the wire so it actually looks like a wire. So you could just toggle everything off except the wire. Now it's going to look like this. This is the un-UV mapped version of it. So what you're going to do is you're just going to highlight, and it's just like UV mapping anything else. Edit UV. Keep everything the same. None. Now this is very important, so pay attention. So you're going to highlight this whole entire box. You're going to go up to scale. And then here, you're going to only select the Y-axis mode. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to scale it on the Y-axis all the way down to that little box. Because what we want to do is we want to get the UV mapped wire and we want to put it on the bump map of this texture. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to move, and we're just going to move this down over the bump map here. That way it actually registers it. Now what you want to do is so that the wire actually looks like a wire. Here, we'll go into our user mode so we can zoom in on it more. So you can already see that it's taking the texture of a wire. It already looks like that. But what we want to do is now we want to select our x-axis and scale. And then you just want to scale it up on the x-axis. Now you'll see these things that'll start moving in here. This is just the texture, so that's all good. You're doing it right. So just keep scaling, scaling, scaling until you get that desired look for your wire. Now that looks like a coil wire. Now you could see over here in 3D that, damn, that looks pretty good. So there you go. You can make it as small as you want. You can make it as big as you want. It all depends on the UV. And there you go. That's pretty much it. That's all the UV mapping. It's really simple. As you can tell, I did that in 20 minutes and explaining it. So it's really simple once you get into it. And then what you can even do is you can go into here, your console. You can get your radio, and then boom, you can attach it to your radio, and you're done. And then yeah, it's really simple. It's really awesome. Definitely, I would 100% know how to do this. Especially if you're gonna sell cars, I would 100% know how to do this, just so you can produce the maximum amount of quality for people that are paying. And then after, what you're gonna do is you can just throw this back in into your hierarchy, and then name it whatever you want. TUT for tutorial, and then you're going to export it the same, export it TUT, and then export it as TUT_high, just like you're doing a normal vehicle. Boom. And then throw it into OpenIV. I'm not going to do that because you guys should know how to do that. Throw it into OpenIV, and then you're just going to want to throw your textures in there. And all you need to do is just throw in the diffuse for the Motorola radio, because I have mine set up that the wire uses that anyway. All right. And if you guys want, I'm going to leave my Discord in the bio of this video. And if you guys want, you could join the Discord and you can ask for the bump map that I use. That way you can get your wires to look like that. But I'm not going to leave it in the description of the video. So you could just join my Discord, and then you could just DM me about the bump map if you guys want. But if you guys have any questions, you could join my Discord. I have support channels. You can open a ticket, ask for support in there. Or you can just leave a comment on this video, and I'll do my best to respond. But other than that, I hope this video was helpful. Let me know how you guys do. Definitely feel free to share your work in my Discord, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.